She can't hear you, but
Why does it say end broadcast? Okay, yeah. I think we're live.
I'm about
Yes,
to check.
we're live. 10 seconds in, 11 seconds. So let's see if anybody's in the comment section for the moment.
All right, we're live.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, there are 8 people.
24 seconds in. We are live. Hey, everybody. If you're here, give us a shout out of hello, hi, or something. Bonsoir, bonjour, something. Hey, ooh, introverted black girl. We got Alicia in the house. We've got V's, Reads and Rambles, and
I don't know Gangle.
Gange 10811.
Yeah.
Welcome to the discussion. Oh, my
Lola!
Yay. Ooh. And Carlise is in the house. Yay. Hey, Carlise. Okay, so let's get started. This was our read this month, A More Perfect Union. I must say, this is a very different book to what we usually wind up reading. We usually read, I wouldn't say intense. It's not the right word, but
intense is the right word.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if that was the right word.
Intense is definitely the right word.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We usually read books that are a bit more intense. So this one was still really refreshing for me personally. I don't know about y'all, but when I was reading, I really wasn't sure what to expect. And once I started, I was just like, I was really happy with it, and I was sucked into the story quite quickly. What do you think, Michael? Tatiana, was it what you expected, or was it a little different?
Michael, you go first.
Okay.
I always go first.
Somebody hear an echo?
I'm asking shit because Carly said that she thinks there's another window open.
Well, overall, I liked it. It's really different from the other stuff that we've read before. I really didn't know where. I think for me, it was just like I didn't know what was going to happen, because especially towards the we're gonna spoil everything, right? So
yeah, go ahead.
Really? Towards the end, I was like, oh, I think they're gonna get caught. So I was like, oh, this is not gonna end up happening.
This isn't gonna end well.
And I think it's because since we mainly have two characters, Henry and Sarah, it baffled me why there was a third perspective, but I guess we'll get into that. It does add to the story, but I'd be interested to hear what y'all think about that. Mm-hmm. But overall, I liked it. It's really different from the other stuff that we've read before.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go right on with what you said, Michael, with the third character baffling you. I appreciated the third character because, in my opinion, in reading the story, I felt that the third character was more compelling than Sarah. I felt that Maple's story arc and
Maple was a hot mess, man.
She was a hot mess. She was a hot mess, and she was horrible.
But we know the reasons why.
Exactly.
But she's lived a very hard life, and she's been very unlucky, born looking almost white.
Right. Absolutely. So, but I still felt that she was a much more compelling character than Sarah was. I felt like she was more her. I don't know. I felt like she was more of a person and more integral to the story than Sarah. But I did enjoy the story. Again, yes, a good read. Once I started, I was like, crap, I'm going to finish this like in a few days.
Yeah. You know what you said about her not being as compelling? I think it may have been done slightly on purpose, because
that's what I'm wondering.
I feel like Maple is is the person that gives us the most information.
Mm.
It's almost like she's the one that's giving us we get everything from her, all the ins and outs, who's doing what with who and why and when. We pretty much get a lot of things from her. And I'm wondering if it's not done on purpose, that she's sort of like the vehicle for the information that we learn, in the story amongst the different characters and things that are going on. I don't know if it's done on purpose or not, but it felt like it to me, because she just knew so much and did so much. And
she knew so much because she'd been in that family all
yeah,
her life. Like she
yeah,
was
yeah.
literally given as a
As a
gift to
which
her
is
sister.
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah, she's horrible.
She's like, y'all look just alike when
Yeah,
you sit looking in the mirror, but you're
yeah.
your sister's slave. And
While
so
leaving her husband, mother, and daughter behind.
right.
Yeah.
But
Oh
that's not atypical of
no,
that's
it's
what
not.
happened.
It's not.
That's not atypical of the slave experience.
No, it's not. It's
Um
I
and
think I thought this was really interesting to read because I just finished The Prophets, and
yeah,
that is a love story between two
two men.
people, two men, and
mm,
who essentially in their times shouldn't be together, and in this one, they technically shouldn't be together also in
Exactly.
their eyes,
Yes.
and I thought that was really interesting going back and forth because
between the two.
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, okay, I need to finish one story first before I finish the other one because it was like it mirrored each other closely, but it told the story differently. If that
Yeah.
makes any sense. Like,
And I had
It,
a third one because I read Yellow Wife.
oh, I was
and
reading
I need to
Fred.
get to that. I need
Yeah,
to y'all are gonna make me read the prophets, and I need to get to the yellow
Well,
wife.
and it's really funny because all three stories have a slight love story aspect to them,
mm,
which I think is a different element to bring in. The way it's been brought into these three stories is this idea of following, to a certain extent, two people who are in love, and how slavery,
Fucks
their
it up.
condition, can really fuck things up and have it not happen at all.
So
So
what did you think about the story, Didi?
I really enjoyed it because, like I said, I started reading and thinking, because like I had just came off of The Prophets.
mm-hmm.
I was like high. I was like high as a kite. I was like, woo, The Prophets got me going, And then I was like, okay, now come on, settle down, girl. You got to read this. And because I had to get my mind right for The Prophets.
Yeah,
And
they're
I don't know.
they were close, man. Like I was just like
I love that.
Yeah, I was like, there's these. That's why I had to. That's why I personally had to stop because I was like, this is too close to each other. Yeah. And I was also reading. I was same like you with Didi. I was reading a biography of Frederick Douglass, and I was like, okay, this is too much. This is too many stories going into one.
Yeah, melting
altogether. Yeah, and going back on,
I didn't really know what to expect, but I mean, I have to say that I started reading and I was immediately sucked in. Like, I mean, I think I read this book in like 2.5 days.
The pacing is really fast. I was like, oh, this is like, okay, come on, we can go.
What's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
But I liked all of the different aspects and the way she brings them out in the story. So she has a lot of the typical tropes that we see in slave narratives. So of course you have the abolitionist, you have the mean slave driver, you have the slaves that really, really want to escape, and the ones that just want to keep their head down and, just not even think about it because so many horrible things happen. Then you have the white people who think that they're being good people because
I'm a good master. There's no fucking such thing.
Exactly. But you always have this kind of thing like, oh, well, we're treating our slaves so well, they don't want to leave. Like,
oh yeah, that's like with Bessie. With Bessie.
That
mad.
Oh, and I totally, that is like, there are sometimes when there are a couple things that I want to say, but we gonna start with that. There are sometimes when I don't get, like, I hated how Maple treated Sarah just because Sarah was kind of like the new person
Yeah.
on the plantation and was put under her to help her. I
Yeah.
hated that. But I totally understood why so many people were pissed off at Bessie. But when Bessie went back to basically ask, could she keep living there because her family was there? And
Yeah.
everybody was like, bitch, you got your freedom. Your ass should have got up and gone. I don't care how old you are. You got it. You need to take it. And I totally understood that
Yeah.
mindset
Yeah.
from the other slaves on the plantation.
Yeah.
That pissed me off.
I see Pretty Brown Eyed Reader says Henry did seem to fall quickly, but didn't seem to realize what slavery was.
That's the other thing that I wanted to speak on.
Yeah,
Because
about the
when
Irish.
you have like Henry kept wanting to equate his situation and his dealing with England and Ireland the same way as the same kind of thing as being a black slave in America. And they were two fucking different things. And it wasn't until Chick was getting her ass beat that he thought that he understood, that he really understood. She might get killed because I did this. She might literally get beat to death because I did this. And I still don't think that there's a part of him that understood. But the need and consistently attempted to try and
gets his toes cut off at the end. Yeah, he understood that.
But that's at the fucking end.
Yeah.
That's at the end. You've been working on plantations for months, for 2 years. You've been working on plantations, building shit, and you just now, when you see somebody who's maimed and mutilated in front of you, that is what it took for you to.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take for him. Because keep in mind, on that plantation, they didn't even want to. The master didn't want the slaves to be beaten. So we can all imagine.
But that's that plantation.
Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't the only plantation that he had worked on. He'd been making his way through the South.
Yeah, but he's that's what I'm saying. You have to put your mind like him as an Irish leaving his country where he was literally starving on 2 feet. So for him, he had this mindset of, I guess you could say, the mindset of survival. That is the thing that they both have in common, is this mindset of survival.
Right. Not to say that his experience wasn't traumatizing. He literally lost his entire family. He was the only surviving member of his bloodline. And watching his family die. Not to say that your experience is not traumatic, but I get so irritated by people who attempt to compare and equate.
That's really the reason why he's kind of naive and not understanding this situation, is because, it's like this idea is like,
you don't know what it's like to be
if you put it like in a modern context, it's kind of like how people didn't even realize anything with like Black Lives Matter. If you put it even today, it took them till a few months ago to just even realize.
And not even all of them. Like it's still a small portion of them.
Exactly. So I can see how
absolutely.
I can see how he thought of it that way, because in his mind probably he's thinking maybe in like a class system, he would be the lowest with the white people of the white people, but technically he's still above the slavery.
The slave.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And he could have like, he adopted the English name. He lost his Irish root, or gave up his Irish root so that he could.
He gave that up
so that he could exist in the North. But when he decided to go to the South, he could have readopted all of that, and he would have been fine because you're still white.
Yeah, exactly. But even his the other guy he was blacksmithing with, that he was going to run off to the West with, he even said, "Oh, so now you're ashamed to be Irish? You don't want to use your name?" And he was like, "No, I want to survive. I want to eat, and and I don't want to take any chances, kind of thing." But there is this little idea, this feeling that, oh, things would be better if I wasn't Irish. So let me just
Yeah,
put
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
off and make it
But
loud.
you have that choice.
Yeah, exactly. He
You
has
have that choice. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Aye, aye, aye.
And poor Sarah doesn't have that choice,
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
Someone asked, hold on, it was
Oh.
up here, that do you think, Carlise asked, do you think Bessie would have taken her freedom if she wasn't blind? Oh, she would have been gone.
I don't.
Really?
I don't think I think she still would have wanted to stay if she was as old as she was and
Mhm.
not and with perfect vision. I still think that she would have wanted to stay because that her husband was gone.
Yeah.
All she had were her kids, and all of her kids were there.
Are in the-
It's not like she had somewhere like the hope of one of her kids got free and she could go and maybe find this kid before she dies. All of her kids were there.
What is she gonna do?
Well, I
don't
thought
think she
maybe
would've
if anything, well, I guess because she would have been older, but I was thinking that maybe she would have gotten, well, now I'm thinking about it, but yeah, because she wouldn't have gotten enough money anyways to work by the time.
Even if she was blind, what is she gonna do? Where is she gonna live?
No, but the question was if she wasn't
blind.
If she wasn't blind, I think it would be the same.
That's what I said. And still, even if she wasn't blind,
yeah,
even if she wasn't blind in a time and society where the purpose of the police were to collect and return black people under the presumption that they are slaves, even if they are free, she would not have been free for long.
Yeah, no.
Mm.
But that mind game that he played, talking about I'm gonna free you, and then when she came back and said, "Can I stay here?" and he was like, "Oh, so you don't want to be you still want to you still be a slave?" I was like, what? I was like screaming. I mean, such a mental mind game he played on her like that, and played on everybody.
And then you're gonna be my example of the happy nigga.
Yeah, I'm gonna then drive you all over, show everybody how how slaves don't
if you treat your slaves well, they'll never want to leave.
They'll never want to leave. We treat them so well, they never want to leave. And then she wound up hanging herself at the end.
I would have loved to know. Like, number one, I would love to get Maple's own story. I think that as a character, Maple deserves her own story. But I also wanted to know what happened to the community. Like, what happened to, what's his last name? Johnson?
Who?
The slave owner. What happened to
Johnson?
Yeah, what happened to his parade of the happy slave once he came outside the next day and saw that Bessie, his happy slave,
hung herself?
Yeah, what happened?
You know what they would have done? They would have probably said that the person, the Quaker that came, would have done something. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, that's how they would spin the story. They could spin the story to say something like, "Oh, they."
But I just want to know. But I just want to know what happened. I want to know that. I want to know that. And again,
that one, I wasn't expecting that at all. I was reading, I was like,
I was like,
am I the only one who wasn't surprised?
No, I think it's the delivery. I think it's the delivery of her hanging herself, because it's literally the way it's written. It's just passing by. I was like, oh, so
by the way, we saw that Bessie hanging. What?
Should we take her down? No, leave her. Because she did it. She did it as she did it, and where she did it as a statement.
Yeah,
that was a statement.
The plantation, so everybody could see passing.
Thank you, Imani. Imani says she wasn't surprised either. So thank you.
Oh God, I was because she was,
and it was poetic that she did it with. I say poetic. Damn, it was suicide, not poetic. But that she did it with the yarn, the thread that she was making.
Imani said she was so down and depressed. It's true, and mentioned she was tired. At her husband's grave. Yeah, I remember that.
She was tired. He was running her around. You have a woman who is, we don't how old could she have been? Hell, working the fields and the house your whole damn life. She could have been 60 for all we know. But you
Yeah.
have a woman who is tired and you have her literally traipsing up and down through the state of Virginia, Maryland, to all of these places on the front. Like, you don't even give her a pillow to sit her butt on the
Mhm.
front of a horse and buggy situation.
Yeah.
She tired.
Yeah. You're right. I should have expected that, but I still wasn't. I was like shocked still when I read it. Was like,
And
oh no.
you've made her the poster
Yeah.
for like, you can have a happy slave. And she
Yeah.
was not a happy slave. None of them were happy.
None of them were happy.
No.
Well, duh, of course not. But that was another thing too, that the slave owner, what was his name? Matthew?
Yeah, I think so.
Him and his wife with their pious asses talking about girl, I was like,
That
if they don't shut the hell up about,
What is a sin unless like
God, it was annoying to read that.
there were so many points in the story where I was literally like, if I could reach in and strangle you through
That was
these words.
like literally, it was just too much. And how there were, and then like it even got worse because at the end when they started saying that that Sarah was like some kind of witch or something, that she was doing some kind of bad juju, and mixing all kinds of concoctions to kill them. We got to get rid of her. And I was just like,
No. What pissed me off was when they matched up Sarah and was it Ray?
Red.
oh yeah,
Red. And they kept saying, we put you with a good buck.
yeah. Oh no, I was like, yowza.
The way in which, like, I felt my ancestral hackles.
Yeah, and then it's true. And he says, no, you have to go and dance with him
Dance.
and be happy.
You go into that cabin and you fuck him so that you all can seal the union that I've said you can.
Girl, that
And
was too much.
Belinda says it further up, but how they use the Bible to
All
basically
the
suppress
time.
it. That part I wasn't. Yeah, I was gonna say that's
like the
that's
worst.
what they've been doing. Like I wasn't.
Right. Thank you, Michael. The way that you just said it so nonchalantly,
Like,
I wish that I could say it like you said it. But that is what
that's what they do.
that is what people have been doing who wish to
You know what? And
Bible to
this is like a funny.
advantage.
This is a funny story, but as I was reading this today because I had to finish it. I was
You
down.
finish it, Michael.
I was down at the river, and these people who came, who were going around the benches, and they were like, "Do you want to pray with us?" And I said, "No, y'all don't got a mask. Stay away." I was like, "No, stay away."
No.
Y'all don't got a mask.
Yeah, I had to put my mask on real quick. I was like, "Wait." I was like, "Nuh-uh."
I love it.
I was like, "I'm
Stay
by
away. I
myself."
got a perfect union to read.
I told her, I told them, I said, "I gotta finish this book. Like, I got to. Like, don't like
Leave me
stay away."
alone.
Yeah, but that's just a little side note. But yeah, I wasn't surprised at all. I was like, oh, they of course they're gonna use the Bible. Like that's what they did.
Yeah. But yeah, and
And that's
just,
what a lot of them are still doing.
also the thing is they call themselves being righteous and better than all the other slave owners because they do things differently, and their way is the best way because they supposedly don't do harm to their slaves, and we treat them so well. And oh my God,
because when you I'm gonna just shut up because I feel like all of my
oh my God, I couldn't. When I was reading those pages, I was like furious,
just vomiting on this live on this live.
awful.
But yeah, there's so much. It's like you're known by the company you keep. So you're saying that you're so much better than these other slave owners, yet you invite them into your house. You allow them to molest your slaves while they're here. So you're not better than them because you're willing to sit in the company of them. What you are is a hypocrite.
He knew that was also the thing. Like he knew the situation with his
His
father-in-law's
father-in-law. Yes.
father-in-law's uh
Nephew.
nephew. Yeah, that situation. I was like, oh god.
So you
And
know.
then when the father-in-law comes and the father-in-law wants the slave to sleep in the room with him,
Mm.
and they're like, well, no, you can, your slave can sleep in the room with, whoever. And he's like, no, I
And
mean,
here comes the kid. Sarah sleeps in my room.
exactly.
I'm like, this is why
It was
children
a hot
should not
mess.
be included in adult conversations. Sit down and shut the hell up, little
That
boy.
kid was a hot mess. It was just a hot mess. He was
It
always
it
saying the
was
wrong.
mentioned earlier, but do you all think that they fell in love too quick from like a storytelling perspective? Like, do you think it was quote unquote insta love?
I mean,
It reads like
okay.
love.
So I have number one, I don't care about insta love.
Oh no, I don't care either.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me, but I also have a different mindset and thought process about it, considering the time that you're living in. Because
Yeah,
Mhm.
during this time period, nothing that a black person had available to them would be long lasting, whether it was your child, your
yeah,
spouse, the bed that you're sleeping in tonight. So
yeah.
there's no such thing as having the time to allow something to nurture and
Nurture.
allow something to develop or grow. You
I agree
have,
with
if
that.
you see something that is appealing to you, you step out on it because tomorrow you might be gone.
Absolutely. That's what
So
it says in the book.
yeah, so
What was her name?
it's
Annie. That's what
I yeah,
that's what
I don't.
she said you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow.
Right. So
You know, live your life to the best, to the fullest.
yeah. So under today's circumstances, would it be insta love? Yes. In the 1800s, when you could be hung tomorrow or your ass beat to
Yeah.
death because you did something that the master didn't like, no.
No, yeah,
It's taking hold of an opportunity when the opportunity is presented to
yeah.
you.
I think I agree with that. I agree with that. It's true we probably we don't fall in love as quickly these days, but that's because we can be independent women.
And I don't think that at that time, what they had that you could call falling in love. What they found was that they were two people who were physically attracted to each other and they were willing to take the time to risk. Because
Yeah,
there's an attachment that comes along with being willing to risk your life
yeah,
to be in the company of someone. So
yeah,
it was the willingness to risk for Sarah to risk her life to
yeah.
be in Henry's company for the chance to grow whatever was developing between them. I
Mm.
think actually falling in love is not a real thing. Either you're in it or you're not.
Or you're not.
But I think that building that relationship during that time didn't happen at the point when you met. You had to make a decision. Do
Yeah.
I want to or do I not want to? And then you have the opportunity to grow in love with somebody as you are given the opportunity to experience life with that person.
And we see
But
all the moments where they're together where she's risking going to be with him.
right.
Yeah.
At moments
That
where she has to now say, well, where were you all this time? That's a risk at that point.
Yeah.
That's when I was like really clutching
And
my pearls,
everything and
oh,
everything
you're gonna get whipped.
excuse me, everything that she was doing and making like because it wasn't no one on the plantation was ignorant of the fact that she's spending time with this white man. So to everybody who's on the plantation, what she was doing was disgusting on different levels. It was disgusting
Yeah.
for him as well
Yeah.
because you're lowering yourself to sleep with the slave, but
Mm.
he's a white man, so he's not going to get those consequences. She will.
Yeah, and she got him. I mean, at one
From
point,
around across the board. Yep.
everybody had their opinion on it, and nobody liked it.
Right.
So that shows even more what she was willing to risk to be with him,
Hmm.
even though almost the entire plantation was against them.
Right.
Which I think is really funny. Everybody knew except for the master and the mistress of the house what was really going on.
No,
And
the master knew. The master knew. I don't believe that he didn't know. I don't think that when Henry came to him to ask to buy Sarah because
no,
he
by
wanted to
then
marry
he
her.
may have suspected, but before he did not know.
You really think that?
No, he didn't know.
think that.
I don't think he knew, because you can tell by his conversation, because even he just, him going to ask to buy Sarah is when he first gets the idea that there's something.
Okay.
Now,
What?
before that when they had that falling out with the what's his name, Mulch?
Yes.
When Mulch tries to rape her in the
Tries to rape her.
and oh my God. And then he I think that is his first seed is planted where there could be something. But he tries to
Oh, that's right. That's right.
tries to wish it away, like, oh no, nothing's happening. And then when
because Mulch even says that he's been messing around with Sarah. Mulch
and he was like, she wouldn't do that, like, but she's only been there like a year or something. Like, so it's not like he really knows this slave that well, but he's just like, oh no,
he trusts her to be a good little horsey.
Not on my utopia plantation. That could never be happening, kind of thing. See, he's like the last one to actually find out. I mean, he's like the wife that's being cheated on by his wife or something. But I felt like that was a really good writing tactic, is to add more tension on the story, because we had the tension of them seeing each other at different moments of the day, which are risky. And then we had the tension of, oh my God, when they find out she is going to get beat to the edge of her life. There was just so much tension going on. I was just.
They also had that part where she saw him making chains and and stuff. So
and he's still and this mofo still didn't get it. He still didn't get it. It wasn't until he saw what's the girl, the kleptomaniac. It wasn't until he saw.
Is that her name? Annie?
Okay,
I think
because it was two. It was two of them. It was one was Annie, and I can't remember what the other.
I think it's Annie is the one that's a kleptomaniac.
But it's not until he sees her being beat, and then Sarah asks him the question: "You saw the chains she was in?
Yeah.
Were they yours?"
Yeah.
That's when he's like, so you have literally somebody getting flayed.
Yeah.
For you to make two realizations. One, Sarah's life as she is experiencing is nothing like the life that you experience.
Nothing.
Two, you are making implements of bondage.
Yeah.
For money.
Yeah.
It was Annie. Okay, thank y'all.
Yeah, no, it's true. He really did take a long time to really understand what he was seeing and what he was, what he had been seeing for a while now. He was still not really, he really wasn't understanding it. And it's not until, like I said, at the very end when he saw those slave catchers chop all the toes off of that slave. Oh, girl. I mean, then he got it. Right there. That's the point where he got it. But before that, he didn't get it. So it's also this idea that he's a white man and he can move through the world however he wants.
However you want.
Mm-hmm.
If he is Irish, he can still.
Sarah can never be a white woman.
He wants, okay?
Sarah can never be a white woman, regardless of what. Sarah could become a teacher. Sarah could become a nurse. Sarah could become whatever, but she could never be a white woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's in that, like, sir, hello. Hi. Reality.
Yeah, exactly. So that was, but I think it's a realistic thing that it would take him that long to catch on. And I think because if he would have caught on really early, I would have been like, really?
That's true. That is true.
Well, he would have never, he didn't experience it when he was in the UK. So I guess it just took him a while.
The only thing that he experienced when he was in the UK is people literally being buried in their houses. Like that.
Yeah.
That
even his experience, like with his experience riding the ship over was so different.
Throwing them clear off they knocked the house
or
down.
Not.
Or not.
Or not. The man, when they went to go take the house down, demolish the house that that lady and her kids were staying in, the man said, if her ass don't get out, I'm
Yeah.
bury her in there. Like,
Yeah.
you got to get off the land or not. And
Or
then not
not.
only do you have to get off the land, but you can't go, like, no one can help you.
Yeah, nobody can help you. You got to go. Like, for real. Like, go. So I thought that was that whole part that she wrote in the beginning, it's just so that we can get to know who he is and where he's
I,
coming from. That's why she wrote that part. So that
I feel like this was more Henry's story than Sarah.
Do you think?
I think. No, but we didn't get a description of Sarah until page 270. And the description of Sarah is Henry describing her to the Quaker.
True. You could say that.
Henry's story is only told from Henry's perspective. Sarah's story is told from Sarah and Maple's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in that, and I'm curious, since this is the story of her great is it three or two
great grandmother, I think she
said. And great grandfather. I'm curious as to how the story was handed down.
Yeah.
And the parts that were remembered, because of course he would know more of his family history because he was more connected to his family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sarah was taken from her. Sarah was taken from her family. Her brother was shipped somewhere else, and their mother was left on the plantation. So it's something that falls to the historical
context.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
You're correct. I mean, it's true. She's not really. You could actually really argue that very well, that she is not really the main story. That it's really more about. Because it's true. I enjoyed reading Maple's, part of the story, because that was something that was very complete to a certain extent and very detailed, down to what was going on that plantation and what was going on the other one, which was the mistress's father's house. And
right.
I felt like that was very interesting how she decided to write that like that, because
I wonder,
we learn more about her than we do about Sarah.
I wonder, because the mistress is so against, like, granted, we know that her marriage is probably an arranged marriage. So then the question is, why would her father pick a mate for her who's so different in ideals and principles than he is?
Yeah, that's an interesting.
That's very interesting.
Because it's like a night and day.
Yeah, exactly. And she's totally against how her father operates on his plantation. Yet you were more than happy to take your sister as your wedding gift,
as a present. Yeah,
like, you're not telling me that when you look in the mirror, this man who came the overseer when they're interviewing for new overseers after they fire Mulch, and this man who comes and thinks that Maple is one of the mistresses of the house, like, you're not telling me that this is only apparent to the people who are coming on the plantation, that when you look in the mirror when she's combing your hair, you don't see
they look just like me. Look a lot alike from what they say. And then another thing is, you have the fact that there's all of Maple's family is over there, and it's almost like she feels like she's been banished. It's almost like she feels like she's in some kind of a horrible purgatory,
like she's been punished,
like she can't get out.
Yeah, and she can't.
She can't every day, all the time. That's all she can think about. It's like insanity to a certain extent. So she can only worry and imagine. And then when she sees, what's his name? Master, whatever his name is, I can't remember what his
which one?
James, the father.
Her daddy.
Yeah,
her dad.
Her daddy.
What's the slave's name? Kitty.
When he's choking her out.
Yeah, but when he shows up with Kitty, immediately we see through Maple that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Before she actually really tells us what's going wrong, we can already sense that there's a worry that she's like,
where my
where's
mama?
the mother? And then when we hear that the mother has been turned out into the field,
And she knows it's something that's happened with her daughter.
Something has happened that they're not telling her.
Yeah.
And it really and Kitty wasn't even giving up the goods. Like Kitty was
even
in it
even
for the silk shoes and the.
You can tell that Maple. For me, like, you can tell she's smart because even at the
Tatiana's like
even at the part where she sees when she sees Henry and Sarah together, and then I don't know if that was me, but I felt as though when she goes and tells, she wasn't really snitching. She knew that it felt to me that maybe she knew she could help them escape. Did y'all feel that way?
Hell no.
Oh,
really?
Hell no.
She was like,
Maple went when Maple went and told, because she says to Sarah that I something about I don't want you to something, I want you gone.
Gone. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think she meant gone off the plantation. I think she meant either gone from here or this plantation or gone from this plane of existence. Exactly. You're not telling me that you are living on a plantation with dogmatic biblical people and you go tell them that their house slave who've been in the room with their son is a witch, and you don't think that they're gonna kill her ass.
I think she did it all on purpose. It just
really? I don't know. I didn't get that.
And I would love to know. I would love to know how the fuck she felt when she found out that her actions helped to free Sarah. That's what I want to know. After all of this you've been trying to do to get your daughter here, and the shit that you've been giving Sarah because you want to get your daughter here, and granted, you should want your daughter here, but the shit you've been giving Sarah because you want your daughter here, all of your actions led to Sarah being free. I want to know what Maple thought about that.
Yeah. Maybe I was just thinking otherwise because I was just like, maybe
you are such a wonderful person that you could not understand that this woman was being a bitch from day one.
I know she was, but I don't know. I was just reading it. I was like, oh,
look, this is so nice.
Look. Chapter 67. That's what I've been trying to tell you, Master. She ain't never gonna settle here. And then he says, Red will set her straight. And if not Red, then their child. Master, you could trade her for Rose, I pant, trying to keep up. Master Jeremiah's sure to take a grown woman ready for breeding for a girl just out of childhood. Okay, then she's blah, blah, blah. Okay, boom. I
don't know. Maybe I might have been just too naive, but that was just me.
Yeah, I think that you are an amazing person.
She was not nice. Like she thought she was going in. Like she was gonna do some real damage. And it all backfired. Wait, let me see.
Oh, it definitely backfired.
Real bad.
Real bad.
Wait, let me see if I can find
Let's see what else I had on my notes.
This one. I marked the page.
And see, I did not mark any pages.
Oh, I did mention I have this little emotion right here. I really liked it when they found that that little oasis that they went to. I thought it was nicely described.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that type of stuff.
I think the descriptions
almost felt like a real place.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
I think the descriptions were spot on for a lot of the things in this book, from his experience in Ireland, and the landscape and everything, to here, like never having been to Ireland. I think her descriptions are smack dab on point.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know the type of research because, like, even the map.
Yeah,
even the map is really nice.
The map.
So I was like, oh. How did y'all feel about her getting pregnant?
I wasn't surprised they ain't had no
Yeah,
condoms.
like they ain't no birth control. Like what they gonna do?
They ain't had no condoms and he ain't pull out. No Maywilla, no on the sand.
I
That's
figured
the
I was
only
like,
thing that could happen.
I was counting how long was it gonna take for her.
Oh,
I was just waiting.
okay. Can we
just
talk about this part right here? When they
Mhm.
when they have sex after he was just sliced by mulch and they were in the basement. I said, couldn't y'all wait? I was like, he's literally bleeding. Like,
Peace and love. Peace and love. Okay.
I said,
you just wrapped his ribs.
Yeah.
Thank you. He was literally bleeding.
Goes to show
His
you can still
arm
do
is
a
cut.
messed up rib and a cut arm. You can still do it.
You can still get the dude done.
I guess the important parts weren't
and you still
the
have the
parts. That was
strength because he backed her up against the wall. You still have the strength to lift.
I said, that part caught me off guard because I was like, wait, what y'all doing right now? Like,
oh my god,
that was too
like,
soon.
okie dokie. we're gonna wrap your ribs really, really tight, and then you're gonna lift me and get it done.
Yeah, because when she says, just to show you when she's trying to get back at her, she says,
what page you on?
Page 280. When she says, I reckon you could hire that blacksmith since he's still poking around here anyway.
Yes.
Looks up at me sharp. Guess she knows too. What are you talking about? He left weeks ago, like Mr. Naive, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I shrug. Sarah's been sneaking out to him. I reckon
she got him here somewhere close by.
Okay.
She wouldn't dare.
Yeah. No, master. And no, master. And he says from where she crouches in the dirt, she wouldn't dare, like you say. And now she got red anyhow. What she wants that black. I'm gonna smack her upside the head when I get her alone. She ain't staying in Red's cabin like you told her, I say. She's with that blacksmith. Have you seen him? Master says here. I've seen her coming back from him just this morning. Girl, she's like picking up all of it.
Look, she'd have snitched. She'd have.
Oh yes, look.
And then here come Annie because Annie stole from Henry and Henry did not tell on her. Henry did not punish her.
She's trying to smooth everything over.
Here come Annie. But you ain't seen her.
Mabel, you gonna get her whipped for a
hunch. That ain't even true. I don't know what she's been. I glare at Annie to shut her trap. You can see for yourself, Master. She ain't sleeping with Red like you told her to. I seen her with Red, Andy says, ignoring my glare. I seen her with him plenty. And like you say, Master, that blacksmith went weeks ago. He's gonna be long gone.
Exactly.
Thank you, Annie.
She was out for blood, Michael. I'm sorry. No, Maple was like doing the most.
Because Annie even told when you gonna get her whipped for a hunch. Like you legit wanted her back sliced.
Yeah.
You want her back sliced all because you don't like her. Like the fuck.
Yeah, but look, this is to prove how naive the master is. He says, I'm sure you misunderstood whatever you think you saw, Maple. But you were right to bring it to my attention just the same. He's still steady trying to believe that his utopia plantation, nobody will leave that place. He's steady trying to think that. And that's one of the reasons why he don't believe nothing. Because in his mind, his plantation is utopia. It's perfect. Don't nobody want to leave the bitch. Okay? Well, no. Everybody want to leave.
Everybody want to leave.
Everybody want to leave. You know?
That brings back part on the next paragraph about Martha's lack of knowledge of plants. I said, that is just. I said, man. I was like, you don't know that's a tree?
Yeah, that's a tree.
Yeah. I said,
you want a tree right here in your front yard by the house? No, I want a bush. like, that's a treat.
Oh my God. I was like, I'm dead.
And she put vinegar in the roses. I said, "Huh?"
That I
Oh,
didn't
hell
know.
no.
Wait. I need y'all to know that I didn't know that was a thing. Let somebody with nice roses piss me the fuck off. I'm pouring
Oh.
vinegar in all your shit. I didn't even know that was
Oh,
a thing.
man. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
tell you.
god.
Oh
This
God.
oh boy.
Oh, let
But yeah, so you
what
can actually see that Maple was not that kind towards
Mhm.
the end.
what did y'all think
She
of,
was doing it.
I guess it wasn't a twist, but it was like, oh, when I guess, well, not really Henry's friend who was gonna help them escape go to the West, that he was going to take that black man's business. I was like, "Wait, what?"
I wasn't
Yeah.
surprised, and I wasn't surprised,
His
and I
friend
also
planning on taking Black Man's
he
business.
expected
Yeah.
Henry expected his friend to be as conscious.
Noble.
No, I don't think
Not
noble. I
noble?
think conscious
Mhm.
because in what Henry saw,
No, he knew
regard,
he had some kind of thing. Go.
regardless of
He
the
knew that
difference,
there would be. Go ahead.
regardless of the difference between Sarah's experience and Henry's experience, I think Henry understood that Sarah's experience was bad, just like their experience in Ireland was bad. And I think that he expected his friend to be just as conscious of that in dealing with Black people as he was. And he came to find out that while you adopted a white name and a white accent, your friend adopted a white brain.
Mm.
And so, where you expected your friend not to be racist, you found out that your friend was racist. And now you up shit's creek because your friend is racist.
Mhm.
And it's not like the whole conversation, and it's sad how much I enjoyed that because again, I'm looking at Henry being ignorant.
Mhm.
How much I enjoyed that exchange between Henry and
Yeah.
his friend.
Well, we can see he's very naive because when his friend pulls up with that story, I wasn't surprised at all by
Yeah.
that story. I just wanted,
His friend's like he's a black man.
yeah, because he had everything all worked out and everything. I'm like, now what the mess he got going on here now, you know? And then when he says he's plotting to take this black man's business, and I'm like sitting there, I'm reading, I'm like,
And Henry's
I'd
like,
like to sit and see him try.
what?
If they're all going out west to dig for gold, all those people that went out west to dig for gold, these were some hard ass people. Like
Mm.
just rolling up on somebody talking about I'm gonna steal your shit.
Right.
Girl, you
And
wasn't
the fact and
nobody.
the fact that this man, the
Look.
fact that this black man made his business and
Mhm.
had customers, you're not gonna quickly get them customers just because you white.
Exactly.
Because he worked his ass to get them customers.
Yes, Pretty Brown Eyed Rita said Henry need a reality
Oh,
check, and his friend gave it to him.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But
And
he still wasn't listening
I
until
think
he had to see the slave get his toes chopped off.
I
Okay,
think we
so
end the story with Henry still separated from reality.
yeah, exactly.
I think having ended the story with Henry and Sarah getting together and him being able to work about her freedom still leaves us with some ignorance in Henry. So again, there's so much more that we could get from this. There's so much more. Like we could get Maple's
What do you
story.
think about the ending? How did you feel about the ending, Tatiana? This whole
It
idea
was
of them living in this kind of weird mixed community, sort of, but where it's sort of
where Henry's parading as a passing white man.
yeah,
As white passing, not a passing white man, but Henry parading
Yeah.
as white passing.
yeah.
I find it. Okay. Maybe Irish men were darker in the 1800s than they are now. I don't know, but
Mm.
Well,
I
I don't think you have to be. You don't have to be darker, boo boo. You know that.
no, but I mean, I find it very difficult that an Irish man could parade as someone who is white
Okay,
passing.
now let me tell you, I can just dispel that myth right away.
Thank you.
I didn't think it was going to be something that I could believe either. But 2 weeks ago,
Oh
I
shit.
was fishing around on YouTube, and you know how you have those little things on the side that make you go down like a hole. Okay, well, I didn't go down the hole, but I did see something. I clicked on it, and it was a story of a white man who fell in love with a black woman, but he was already married to a white woman and lived on one part of the town. He went and got married to the black woman on the other side of the town, and he was passing black. He was saying that he was black so that he could be with her. And I was like, whoa. It was like, whoa. I wish I could remember what this video was, but it was something that would truly happen. And I think it happened in New York. So the guy was living in one part of New York, and he had some kind of a job where he was partially like a public figure, to not a fully public figure, but like he had a business where people kind of knew him on that side of town. But in fact, on the other side of town, he would change his clothes and everything. He had a totally different name. He was living a totally different life with his black wife. And he was like passing black, like he was passing as a light-skinned black person.
I am blown. Bernie, in response to yours, it says it's in the book that they're saying that he's passing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that they told the community that he was a black man who could pass for white.
I hadn't seen that YouTube video about that real white man who wanted to be with his black woman. I was like,
okay, so wait. So he
looked white to me, okay? He looked white to me.
You a bigamist in the same city. That's more intriguing to me than
this man looked white to me. You know, I kept saying this man looked white. But it's all in the way things are presented.
You're right. You're right.
And he was going over there. He was just like all the, he's, I guess, acting.
And Maple looked white. Like in my mind, I keep picturing Maple as hella light skin with a little bit of brown undertone. But Maple was white. Maple looked
like you said, we come in all shades. So anything is possible. Yes, it is.
Yep.
So
but I'm glad that they found a community where they could exist as a couple and not have to parade Sarah as the slave, because that was Henry's first suggestion.
Oh, that was so horrible to read.
So I'm so glad that they found an area where they could exist as two people who were living together and married. Because when Henry suggested that parading situation, I wanted to again reach through the damn page and strangle him with words. I'm just happy that they were able to find that kind of community, and I wonder how prevalent those communities were. During that time period. I'm very curious.
Anyway, that was, and it's really weird because this video that I saw was literally 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. I was like, okay, I didn't see it all, but it's not the first time I've heard of something like that.
I just read Rochelle's comment, and Rochelle said, "Oh man, I don't know, because I just Googled Black Irish, and they're just plain Irish folks with dark hair and eyes." And what my mind immediately went to was the Chronicles of Narnia, where they're talking about the dwarf. You get a black dwarf, a red dwarf, a gray dwarf.
Yeah,
hair color. That's what my mind went to. Okay,
I just Googled it too, and
she ain't wrong.
No, she's not wrong.
Okay, y'all stop Googling that now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. So well, let's just are there any things that you
Okay, I'm gonna go.
I guess I want to say, like, what's your favorite scene in this book?
I like the part where they go to that oasis. I
That's
just
what I
really
was
like
gonna
that part.
say.
I just
That's what I was.
Oasis was a really good.
in my mind, I was visioning it like just beautiful flowers.
And that's the reason why that is, for me, one of my favorite parts of the story is being in Virginia.
Mm,
Knowing that those that when the plantations, like, you could go to Monticello and see, number one, how big the plantation was, but then also separate from that, there are those kind of like oasis spots where you can go and where the slaves were free to roam when they were off, on like they had their day off on Sundays. So those places like do exist. And what I like also about it is that up until Sarah gets into a relationship with Henry, it's a part of the area that's been totally closed off to her because it's separated from the plantation by water. So her involvement with Henry opens her up to an area that she otherwise would not have been able to experience without his involvement, because he gives her, with her desire to be with him in his company, he gives her the courage to be like, just sit on this dough and I'm gonna take you across the water and we're gonna
Hey, we
go
have
over.
a guest, y'all.
Huh?
We have a guest.
Oh, yay! Courage to be like,
Hi.
hi.
Hi, everyone.
Across the water.
Thanks so much for coming to discuss with us tonight.
Thank you so
have a
much for
guest.
having me on, having me here. Thanks for reading the book. Thanks for all of it, actually. Hi, everyone.
Have you been
We
listening to
have-
our commentary so far, or you just came in tonight?
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah.
Having me-
Oh, we have a bit of a kickback.
Yeah, I think the window that she had
I realized that now. I closed where I was watching. Sorry.
Yeah, make sure everything is. Have you been watching our commentary, or did you
I
just?
did watch. Yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
Of course. I'm way too curious tonight.
No, that's good. That's good. Thanks so much for coming again. We really appreciate it. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I want to ask the first question. Sorry, guys, I got to get in.
Take the book.
But my first question is, how did you go about this whole idea of writing about your great great grandparents? Because this is like, it's one thing like to know a story, like, and then it's another thing to actually tell it, even if it's fictionalized or if it's a biography. Like, how did all of this happen?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, I didn't grow up knowing the story of my great-great-grandparents. This is something that I learned probably about 10 years ago at a big family, kind of like a family reunion type thing.
Wow.
And a branch of the family who I hadn't met before, so like I don't know, quite removed, like third cousin, twice removed kind of thing, like out there. That side of the family knew this story. It's the kind of thing where, I don't know, if you have kids, if you tell your children stories about family, sometimes a kid will listen and take that on, and sometimes a kid wants to go play and really isn't interested, right? So my side of the family obviously was not into it, and another side of the family really was keeping all of these family stories. And so in this reunion, I found out all of these family stories that I hadn't known, that hadn't made it down on my side. So when I heard this, and I thought, obviously on my side, we knew that these people existed, but we didn't know kind of all of this stuff. And so when I heard this story, what came down was, oh, well, yes, Henry, actually his name was Henry. So Henry was Irish, and Sarah, her name wasn't Sarah, it was Sally, was a slave. And he bought her freedom to marry her, was what the family story was. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. Thinking about that time and doing all that. And then as I thought more about it, I thought, well, hang on, how would that work? And how did that happen? And how could they even have gotten together? And thinking about it is what made me want to write about it.
Well done. Well done. Because it's not easy, I don't think, writing about family. We don't know all the details. It's still not easy to write about family.
It's easier when they're no longer living.
Absolutely.
and
You had to
then
do
he
a
come
ton
back and
of
say, "You
research.
got this wrong."
You had to do like a ton of research to actually do this, or were you? Yeah. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah, there was a lot of research, a lot of research. I wanted it to sit firmly in the period. I wanted it to be real. There's a lot that is real in the story that you might not necessarily think of as real or real as real. Yeah, no, I wanted it to be very much of the time.
Was
Yeah.
Maple real? Mabel?
Maple was based on my research, but wasn't an actual character in history.
Mm.
So Maple came, you probably know something about Sally Hemings. Have you heard of Sally Hemings? So for anybody who doesn't know, Thomas Jefferson, president of the US, had many slaves. And one of the slaves that he had was named Sally Hemings, and he had a sexual relationship with this woman and fathered a number of children with her. Sally Hemings was also the half sister of Martha Jefferson, who was Thomas Jefferson's wife. So Martha Jefferson and Sally Hemings share the same father, obviously. So she's living as this, and she's left her home where she grew up with Martha and has come with Martha to Thomas Jefferson's household. So she's one of those slaves that's come over. Yeah, and she will have had the slaves that she's had, being herself a mulatto at least, will then be even lighter. And so I was thinking kind of along these lines of this whole, that's a horrible, strange situation where you are the slave to your half sister, and it's all this
Strange
weird,
but common.
yeah. And then another part of Maple was so back then the abolitionist movement was quite big in some parts and at some times. And one of the things that they latched onto was finding these slave children who looked white, basically. I have a picture. You can look them up online. They're abolitionists, and they made these posters of these children who looked white in order to try to get people to get behind their cause and say, oh, come on, it's not like just for the dark-skinned people. Look, children who look kind of like your children are also slaves. We need to get behind this and abolish slavery. So it was like this promotional thing to abolish slavery. And I saw these photos of these kids that truly look just like little white kids. And those two things together is how I came up with the idea of Maple.
Maple is quite the character.
Yes.
Character.
Yeah. I think Maple was important for the story just to give that counterbalance. Because of course, Sarah and Henley, it was the story of my great-great-grandparents who actually did wind up together. So they've got to wind up together. They've got to fall in love. It's got to work out. But I was conscious of not wanting to come across as, slavery was like this happy love story thing. And I wanted that other bit of it, because while it was very nice, it wasn't the norm that this slave woman would fall in love with this white man. That wasn't a normal thing. And that whole relationship wasn't a normal thing. And so I thought, and so including Maple was kind of for me like a counterbalance to that story that was kind of the story that I was wanting to tell.
Yeah. Okay, Tatiana?
To piggyback, because you kind of asked part of my question.
Okay.
But to piggyback on that, stories and novels that fall into the historical fiction that's based on familial history like this are like my wheelhouse. I love reading those kinds of stories, primarily because I enjoy reading the after information about how the research and all of those things are done. And that also like draws me to those authors. Like there's an author that I'm obsessed with because she had a whole website when she was doing her familial research, and I was like, I gotta see what she got next. So my question to piggyback off of these is, when you were doing your research, or how did you go about doing some of the familial research that you did into your own history to try and find out more information about both Henry and Sarah? We'll go with that.
Okay. So I will disappoint you. My research was really word of mouth research, right? And I started doing kind of ancestry stuff, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to, it's a work of fiction, and I'm going to take the freedom that comes with that, because I realized I didn't want to shoehorn myself into something that would restrain story. And I'll give you a very part of that comes from this, and I'll give you a small example. I think shortly before starting this book, I had read Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd. I don't know if anyone has read that.
Oh.
So in that book, there was the story of Handful, which was a slave, and there was a story of Sarah, who was the white girl who turned into the woman, and that in that story, Sarah Grimke was a historical person, and she did a lot of research on that historical person, and what she knew about her, she obviously tried to include in the book. And Handful was an invention. She was sort of a composite character of general research, of general stuff, not anything that specifically happened to one person, but kind of from different people. And this is something that could happen to a person and has happened to different people. And for me, in reading that book, shortly before I was doing this book, I felt more drawn to the character of Handful. And I realized afterwards when I read, as you did actually, about, how she went around for the research, I thought, I think it felt to me as if Sarah's character could have been more compelling if she hadn't been restrained by these certain particular facts. And so and maybe it's just sort of the timing that I went, that as I read this and I was thinking about my own project, that's when I pulled back and I said, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to write this book with what I know. So everything that I knew about them, which came from family, basically from family stories, I've included, but I chose not to try to dig deeper and find out as many, more facts and when was this and all of that, because I thought I would be able to potentially weave a more compelling story if I allowed myself that creative freedom.
Okay. That's not a disappointment. That's still part of your creative process. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Michael.
I don't know if you don't want to share, that's fine. But could you tell us what happened after, like with the situation with their story after they go off to the town? Like,
love you.
Do you know what happened? Or if you don't want to share, that's fine. I was just wondering what happened after.
Yeah, no, they, so I have them go off in real life, they didn't go to Maryland. They went to Florida, but there was other stuff going on in Florida, and it felt like I wouldn't be able to stop the book there because there was stuff going on. So I put them in Maryland and finished the book. But in real life, they did go off to a similar situation. They lived for the rest of their lives in a Black community. And to the point that, it's hard for me to imagine. I think you, Tati, you were saying before, it's hard for me to imagine that nobody would have realized this guy's white. But it's easy to imagine that they would have put themselves forward in that way, and that the community, whether they know or not, accepts them. I think the community was just very welcoming and embracing. And I have no knowledge of whether it was known or not. It was definitely some bits of story have come out that have made it clear that people didn't know that he was necessarily a white guy, that he was assumed to be a Black guy living in that place. And there's a story where somebody comes looking for Inward Taylor, and he, and he comes out with a shotgun. He was a bit hot-headed. He actually was quite hot-headed in real life. And he comes out with a shotgun. I'm Inward Taylor, and get the hell off my life, blah, blah, blah. And so there is
that story.
Yeah, there you go. So there's certainly stories that would suggest that it wasn't widely known that this is a white guy living there, and people potentially outside the community assume that that guy is another Black guy over there.
Okay, I have another question.
Go ahead.
Can I break line?
Go ahead.
Tati, one of the characters, even though she annoyed me, I did not like her. I would love a story, and now that I know that she's a composite of people and personalities, I would like. So this is going towards like what your next book is going to be, because the expectation is that there's more. beyond this.
That's good to
So
hear.
is there a chance that we could get a Maple story? Because
Mm,
I like the background of Maple and how she gets to being this person who hates Sarah in all the things that Sarah is and the hardships that she's experienced that have brought her to this point, being separated from her mom, her husband, her daughter, all of those things. Like I just want that story. So I'm just putting that out into the ether. That is Madam Huff. You can run with it if you want. Or leave it sitting
Maple
here.
story. A maple story. You're not the first person actually who said, "Oh, we should have a Maple story." I would say Maple is hard. Maple is just emotionally hard to write, just because
mm.
A lot.
He's
it's
so mad.
She is
yeah,
mad all the time.
yeah,
It could be
exactly.
a short story. It could be a short story.
Sorry.
No, I did.
Sorry, Michael.
It could.
Oh my god.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maple would be hard to write. I can see there's a lot there. There's definitely a lot there, but it would be a very strong emotional thing. And so yeah, I'd have to.
You have to like shore yourself up for that.
Yeah.
And I totally
Yeah, but there is. I mean, there is backstory to everybody, and I mean, personally, the character whose backstory doesn't come across very much because it doesn't fit for the book and it's not right for the book, but who has a really, for me, really interesting backstory is Red.
That's what I was thinking next.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Red is a very interesting character.
Yeah, exactly.
He's this character who wants to be free, and he's,
and poor guy, like all of his opportunities that come
broken.
across, they just fell through.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
Interesting character though. And also Annie and her kleptomania.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I was wondering, how did you come up with this idea? Is that something that did you put that in there for a particular reason? Or did that just sort of flow into the story without you really planning it?
It flowed into as I was writing.
Yeah.
It shaped. I didn't start out saying, "Oh, and I'll have the character who's a kleptomaniac." It came out of the telling of the story, and it became, and then once you have this character who's doing these things, you think, why is this character doing these things? Sometimes things happen on a subconscious level. They kind of, I don't know, they become almost like real people, and then you have to, as the writer, I suppose, figure out, okay, why are my characters doing this, and what does this actually mean, and let me get behind what's going on psychologically in their minds to try to harness this.
She was bold. Like she stole she stole, let's say this in size for it. She stole an elaborate snuff box in a room full of white folk, just pocketing it. And I'm like, you not thinking that these folk who actively snuffing go not notice that this is missing.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah. Although they were drinking.
They were drinking.
Yeah. I know that she can't control it, that she's got to steal something.
Yeah.
When she said that, I was like, oh no, girl.
I was like, you gonna die.
I'm in trouble now,
Yeah.
So you kind of feel
I heard Whoopi.
That's gonna happen.
I heard Whoopi from Ghosts in my head. You in trouble, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Jesus, you gonna die.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine eventually. I mean, the story stops, but you can imagine eventually. She's probably going to get caught a few more times, and and ultimately things are not going to go well in this.
It's not going to go well for her.
Yeah.
So, can I say that you're a pantser and not a planner?
I am. No, I'm a both.
You're both. Okay.
I'm a both. I do plan a bit, and then I pantser, and then I change my plan, and then I go somewhere. So,
But are you the kind of author that knows how your story is going to end in the beginning of writing it, or you kind of work your way to the ending?
No, I do know how it will end.
Okay.
I do know how it will end. Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting to know. I always ask authors that because I just think it's just
Yeah.
cool to see their process of how they write. If they write out of, some kind of desire, something that they want to show only, or if they're a little bit of planning. And there's always this difficulty with endings sometimes
Yeah.
in stories. And you can tell when authors have not thought of
Struggle.
their endings
Mm.
in advance, and they back themselves into a corner and they can't figure a way out.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this one, you could see, I was like, oh, she's not disappointing us with this ending. Okay, Tammy, I see you. It's like,
Good.
oh yeah. So because I think I think endings are just really hard. I think beginnings are hard and endings are hard.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Yeah, I think beginnings and endings are hard. And I think for this one, I definitely wanted to know where it was going and be very clear about where I am going throughout. So that I don't get to that point where you have to sort of, and then somehow magically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can I say that, or I'm going to ask you,
Yeah.
have you been writing before you decided to do this book, or is this really like your first? So I know this is a debut novel for you, but have you been writing, and you have been doing
I have been writing before. I've been, I have short stories that are published and out in like literary magazines.
Okay.
So I do have that. And I've got kind of the requisite novel in the drawer thing, it's not the first novel I've written, it's the first novel I've published.
Exactly. Okay. All right. That's good. So how many years has it been you writing?
This book or just in general?
In general.
Yeah.
I feel like I've always written. I mean, I've always done some writing. And I think you go through periods in time in your life where you have time to do this and when you don't so much have time to do it. And while I was more intentional about my writing back at university when you have time, and then you get into life and you still write, but now you've got a job and then you've got kids and then you've got all these things. And and while I was still writing, it was much less intentional. And now I'm at the point in my life where I happily can spend a little bit more time with it, and kids are a little older, and I can write a bit more. So I would say I've always been writing, but it's probably within the last 8 or so years that I can spend more time with it.
Nice. That's very good.
Oh.
Okay, who's next? Michael?
I have another question. And you don't have to answer again if you don't want to, because it's about family.
Okay.
Since you got their stories from them, what was their reaction to the book when they had a chance to read it?
Very positive. Very
good. That's perfect.
Really excited. I have a great family, so they're really excited, very positive, very supportive. Just really, and obviously it's fiction, so I've filled in the dots or filled in the kind of the blank spaces with my imagination, and that's been quite fun. Well, the response has been that's been quite fun to see how I imagine that this could have come to pass, and how in my mind I've kind of worked out a way where these things can have happened. So it's been very positive.
Okay, I noticed there's a question here. Somebody asked,
I was going to add,
was Henry's loss of all his family fact or fiction?
Sorry, say it again. Was
Henry's loss of all of his family fact or fiction?
That was fiction. I don't know what happened to his family.
Nicely played.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to his family. That wasn't it. It wasn't spoken. Realistically, it's possible that he had family. And once he got Sarah, he lost his family. To be very honest, that could have been too. And I played with the idea of doing something like that, but I wanted to have kind of that hardship of the Irish famine thing hit you as strong as it could hit you, to have as much of that counter thing to the slavery. I didn't want to go light on that so that I could have the full impact of kind of that moment. But that was the other idea that I was thinking of, that he loses it, but instead he loses Enos, the friend. So
right, that's what I was getting ready to say. That still kind of happens with his friend. Thank you for giving his name, because I'm horrible at remembering character names beyond the main characters. With Enos, because Enos's response to hearing that Sarah is the person that he wants to bring with them is, if you let her go, then you can come.
Yeah.
Basically. And I would imagine that that could have possibly been the response of his family.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
piggyback on that question, was there the place where they met? Was that in Virginia?
In real life, they did meet in Virginia. Yeah, they absolutely did. They met in Virginia. So I said it in Virginia because they met in Virginia, and I placed it. So my Jubilee plantation, where the thing is set, is based on Montpelier plantation, which is in Virginia. It's actually where it is in the book, in the map. And Montpelier is actually the plantation of James Madison, who was fourth president of the United States. And
that was a field trip for me when I was in elementary school.
Really? Are you in Virginia?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia, and they decided that we're gonna take our mostly Black class to a slave plantation for a field trip. Fun freaking time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it was based, a lot of the physicality of it was based there. I went there and I kind of got the feel of it, and like the walled garden things and the tunnel under the house where they could go up and what have you. That's all from that plantation.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's I'm having a flashback. That's one of the things, like when schools suck. When we went, because we didn't just visit that plantation, we visited oh my gosh, I can't think of the other one that we visited, but they both had that, where it's like this staircase that I swear when you go down it literally feels like it's this big.
Yeah,
it has the audacity
kind of staircases
to whine, and it whines to go down. And I'm thinking, as a kid, much smaller than I am today, of grown people walking upstairs with chafing dishes. God, don't fall.
Yeah, they have it glassed off, so you can't actually go on those stairs anymore from the
they let us go down. I don't think it was Montpelier where they let us go down.
The indention they have these in Louisiana, a bunch of plantations in Louisiana as well, and a couple of them they actually show you the staircase. They don't let you walk on it, but you can see the staircase. It literally slumps.
Yes. And it's like the tightest freaking spot.
Like, up and down these stairs all day, up and down, and it's just wearing like right at at the edge. It's just.
And they're like, "You're gonna go to hell? No, I'm not going down there."
Heartbreaking.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's asked, can you give us any insight on what you're working on next for a book?
Yes, okay, I can do that. So because I can think of other things that are my family, but I have a really fascinating family. And so this next book is based in the 1940s, and it's a little bit inspired by my grandmother and her brother. And it's about a brother and a sister who after World War II, they are both light-skinned Black people. And in World War II, when World War II breaks out, the brother enlists. And because he's so pale, he's told that we are not integrating the military here. You will now be classified as white, because we will not be accused of integrating, because of course that was like the worst thing in the world back then. And so they change his paperwork, and from that moment on, he is officially white. And it's a story of the two of them, the brother and the sister. One now, and now legally and officially a white man, navigating post-war America and the GI Bill promises and the prosperity promises that built the middle class of America, and how they fare.
That's going to be really interesting.
As someone who had grandparents and uncles in the military, like World War II is one of my shit places. Yeah. Like I should, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds really, really good.
Oh, good. Well, I'll let you know.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Good. Well, that's good. It's good to hear.
Someone did ask about Sarah's knowledge of plants. Was that actually like she was your great 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 grandmother? Was she actually was that true?
Was she an herbalist?
No,
Herbalist?
she wasn't an herbalist, no. But I wanted, so it was important for me that she needed within the story to have a bit of agency within herself.
Yeah.
Yes.
That she needed to have that.
Yeah.
And while I'm sure she was a lovely person, my great great grandmother, I don't think she was a very large personality based on what's come down, and I wanted to give her more than that in the story. So I gave her that ability, that skill, to know medicinal plants and to be able to do that, because I wanted her to have more agency and more just more presence. Yeah. So I needed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part of the story, and her having her own garden.
Yes.
Yeah, the garden was
to and maintain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that became part of her personality.
And we all three of us liked the description of the place that Henry and Sarah go together, with the field, with the flowers.
Yeah.
Is this
Yes.
a place that you know, or is this something that you totally made up?
No, that I made up as well.
It's gorgeous.
It's
It's gorgeous.
Good.
With the butterflies and it's a very gorgeous place.
The thing is, because like I live in Georgia, and that type of stuff does like you can find it along the river. You can find like little areas similar to that, like little islands and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. It's based on, I mean, I know that sort of stuff exists, but it's not like, oh, that's this place that's right there. No, it was, for me, I invented it because I think it was necessary for them to have a place where they're off the plantation, where it's sort of a different world, and it's, it's a world for them, and it's away from kind of that oppressiveness of the plantation, and they come up to this lightness of this kind of idyllic world, so it should feel and look idyllic. But then, and then of course they've got to come back to
reality.
Exactly.
All right. Somebody asked, do you have a daily writing routine?
I write every day, and that's about as routine as it gets.
That's a routine.
That is a routine.
that is a routine. That's the definition.
Write every day. I mean,
yeah, I write every day, but I don't have like, from 8 to 12 I write. Whatever. No.
So that's a schedule.
And some days you write less, and other days you write more.
Yeah, that's what it is. Exactly. That's I write, I do big sprints, and what comes out, and when I'm done, I kind of know it. And but I do, it's important for me, it's important to stick with it. So I do write every day.
I have a question that has nothing to do with the book. Total curiosity on my part. How long have you been living in the UK?
For 21 years.
Okay. Yeah. Because I read in your bio that you were born, that you lived on the East Coast and the West Coast, but then moved to the UK with your husband. So I was like, when was that?
Yeah. That was a long time ago. That was,
awesome.
It feels like just yesterday, but it was a long time ago.
Well, that's awesome too, if it feels like just yesterday. Look, 20 years with somebody is a long time. Yeah. Even when it's just with yourself. So.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I have a quick question. How was your book received in the UK?
Yeah, positively. I have had some really good reviews, which is great. It was picked for a BBC Radio 2 book club, which is a thing here. That was good. It's it got a review in the Times and the Sunday Times and some bigger names, which is good.
So it's really good.
Yeah. So it's been okay. It's done okay. Especially it's published by Myriad Editions, which is a smaller publishing house. It's not one of the big five, and so their marketing budget is small and their publicity is small. And all of it is quite small. So considering the how much finances and how much oomph they had to put into it. It's done actually pretty well.
So when you pitched your book, was it difficult pitching this book to a publisher?
No. So
You might have like an agent, maybe, huh?
I didn't actually. It was one of those things. It was. I mean, I feel like I hate. So before I published, I hated hearing from people, oh, it was so easy. This one was easy. Although I will say, and remember, I've got the book in the drawer that didn't publish, right? So it's not, it's not that. I did all of that other bit, or the 2 books in the drawer, I'll say that. But for this one, I went to one of these festivals and pitched my book, and somebody from Myriad, from this publishing house, loved the idea of it. I sent it to her. She loved the book. She passed it on to the commissioning editor. She said, yes, let's take it. So it was fairly straightforward, actually.
Well done. Wow.
Was this your first time pitching? The pitch that you did for A More Perfect Union, was that your first time pitching a book?
No, one of the books in the drawer I pitched, and I got as far as send me the full manuscript and to a couple of different agents. Because of course, normally you would send it first to agents, but I didn't get a bite in the end, and I said, let me put that away and do something else. So I had pitched to agents before with a previous book. This one, it just went differently.
Wow, it was meant to be.
Yep. That's what
it
I
was meant to be. It was meant to be. And Myriad, the publishers have been great. They've been really great. That was the other thing. I think, oh, should I do this? Should I, try to get an agent and go with a big publishing house? But they were so excited about the book, and that was so infectious for me. And I think regardless of who you publish with, if you can get a publisher who's excited about your book, for me,
that's important.
Yeah, exactly. That was absolutely huge.
We got a question.
There's some questions.
Go ahead, Didi.
There was, I think it's, did you always enjoy writing, or did it develop over time? Did anyone in your life help develop it?
I kind of always enjoyed writing. It was, my mom will tell you my little second grade stories and poems or something, or somewhere in a drawer. It's something that I always just did and enjoyed doing. And I think
no family influences.
I think it's just a question of reading and writing and trying. I think writing is one of those things that you just do it, and then you get better at it eventually. It's one of those things that you just have to do, I suppose.
Yeah. We got another question. Who was your favorite character?
My favorite character. That's a really good one. I feel like I have to say Sarah and Henry, because they were my great.
You don't have to say Sarah and Henry. Look, that's family. So it's like, that's biased.
They're dead. I don't know if it's true.
No, not they're dead, but that's family. So
family.
You don't have to say
you got another vote. Yeah.
Well, what I personally, and I know she's like the character you love to hate, but I like Maple. I like Maple. Because I find there's a rich, yes, she did some pretty bad things. Yes. She was not, positive towards them in the end. She did sell Sarah down the river, or try to anyways. At least.
Hard.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at where she's come from, if you look at what she's gone through, and I just think psychologically, I mean, this is how serial killers are made. Honestly, to have to be a slave to your sister, to be taken from your mother and your husband and your child, and all the crap that we know that the sexual assault, basically, that we know that she endured back at her last Belle Grove plantation is what it was called. And then to know that your
daughter is about to go through the same thing.
The same thing, yeah.
And she's trying everything in her power to get her daughter out of this, and none of it's working, and none of it's gonna work. And it's like it's just everything she's trying, and she has no power. That's the problem. She has no power.
Yeah,
personally, I know it's not a nice thing that she did, but I really feel for her. And
I think it's like it's a difference between liking a character and then having a favorite character.
yeah,
And like for me, like I can like a character, but if that character does not evoke strong emotion from me, be it positive emotion or
Yeah,
negative
or negative.
emotion, then that's what makes a character a favorite character. And I do
Yeah.
think that makes a very compelling character.
Yeah.
That's why when Sarah finally gets with Henry, I want to know, like
Yeah.
I want to know, what did Maple think? How did Maple feel after finding out, or if she found out that all of
yeah,
this machinations that you did behind the scenes to get rid of Sarah actually helped free her?
yeah,
Like, I want to know. I want to know.
yeah, exactly. You feel like, she's gonna die inside and yeah, she's not gonna be happy about it.
She's not going to be happy. She's
Yeah.
not going to be happy. But that was literally the first thing that I thought after Maple and Henry after Sarah and Henry get together. I'm like, what that heifer Maple thinking
Uh-huh.
Because I remember I think it had gotten to like, I don't know, I wasn't even that far into the book. I was like maybe 30 pages in, and I was like, damn, this Maple, Lord Jesus, this woman is driving me mad. I mean, she's just so like that anger just jumps off the page.
But wouldn't you be angry? I mean, I would be. Maybe
Absolutely.
too much of the author coming through, or I'm giving away too much of my personality. But I would be like,
no,
let's
absolutely.
burn the world down.
In the beginning, we don't really know everything about her, and then as we're learning, we're like, oh hell no!
When we meet her at the beginning, the way that she just hates Sarah, it's like, what did Sarah ever do to you? But then as we read,
because she's the last one in. You know how it is.
Yeah.
The last one in is the one that gets all of the bad stuff. They get the last everything, and
everything. Also, I think for me, it's a power. It's a power struggle.
It's a power struggle
because she has a strong position, being the half sister, being in the relationship with this mistress. But even still, the master is above the mistress. The master is the master, and so there's this whole power struggle thing. And when Sarah comes in, if she's getting close to the kid and getting close to anybody, it could challenge her position. Yeah, I think it's a bit of the power struggle thing as well.
That is something I read a lot about this month. Power struggle presentation.
Okay.
Yellow Life, there was power struggle there. I read The Prophet. Big power struggle there as well. And then I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, more power struggle. But I think that's a very normal thing, because that plantation is as if it's like a village of its own. It contains lots of people trying to get any little bit of power that they can.
Yeah, exactly.
It counts, because it makes them have something that they didn't have before. It gives them a step up than what they have now. So I think it's a normal thing that this power struggle exists, and it doesn't exist in ways that we always expect.
Right.
The power struggle, the way each slave goes about it, even the woman of the house, how she goes about it.
Yeah,
the power struggle. It's not working like people want it to work. And if they go about it the wrong way, or they say the wrong thing, suddenly the power that they thought they had, they realize you do not have any power. Stop thinking that you do have it, because you don't. And I thought in your book it's done really well, and the other two books, slave narratives I read, that power struggle was there, and that was something to be reckoned with, in the end. That is a thing that made the characters rethink, or force themselves to rethink, what am I doing? Am I gonna get something from this? Is this gonna really work? Or am I just making myself go closer to getting a horrible beating and maybe die, or something else. So I think that is done really, really well, that you didn't, you put that in there, but
Yeah.
that love story is sort of like centered in the middle.
Yeah.
And all of this tension and power struggle is sort of like surrounding this love story that's budding amongst it. And I think that it gives an interesting way of recounting the story.
Yeah, I wanted to make it. I think the power struggle thing is real, and as you these other books, it's in there because it's real. It's not as if we're all suffering together, so we're gonna kumbaya,
Kumbaya out.
No, it's kind of not every man for himself, but nearly. Every family group, every unit group for themselves. And if you can help someone, great. And if you can't, no. And you need to just make sure that you are okay. In many cases, and I think that's what we say. And as you say, with that can get kind of nasty, as with Maple. It can get rough. And then, as you say, with the love story in the core, I think I wanted to make the book because it's a story based on a plantation. It's in slavery times, and that can be very heavy, and that can be very hard. And I know a lot of people, I hate reading about slavery times. I hate reading about that because it's so hard to read about. And I think, yes, it is. It can be very hard to read about, but I think it's necessary and important. I think just because something was difficult, I think it's not something that should be avoided. Yeah. And so I did try to make this book accessible to people, to especially to kind of for people who would how should I put this? Before writing this book, I had heard comments before from people about, I don't read certain things, or I don't read certain authors or certain types of books because it's too heavy and it's too much and it's too I
have thoughts for those people.
Exactly. Well, yes, I know. But so I thought, okay, I don't think that that's right. However, you can't make somebody read something else. Nope. So my aim, and whether I achieved it or not, who knows, but my aim was to write a story that is based in these times, that is accessible, but also that has something to say. So that's
you didn't shy away from the brutality of slavery. And that's what I liked, because just when we thought it was just about, we're in the love, there's like a little love scene, or there's something between the two of them that they're learning something. And then right after, boom, it's like a cold dishcloth in the face.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's like some horrible thing from slavery. Boom, it hits you in the face like that. And so you don't let the reader forget it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's maybe a constant thing. Like in some slave stories, is just a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
This one, you make sure that the trauma is put forward, but you don't let us forget it. Even though this is a love story to a certain extent.
That was exactly.
This is on a plantation. This not nice things are happening here, people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a plantation, and you can't avoid certain things happening. No, that's what I was wanting to. I was wanting to, make it something that somebody who would normally say, "Oh, that's not for me. I won't read that," because then, you never.
Well, they're not reading a lot.
They're not reading. Yeah, I mean.
I'm sorry. That annoys me, and the fact that I hear it from a lot of Black readers annoys me even more.
Yeah,
so it's just like, so you're just not reading nothing about. Not that all of our stories are trauma stories, but in order for you to have an understanding of where we come from and why our good stories are so good, you need to have the background and understanding of where the fuck we came from.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely, because. Yeah. It's not something that I think should be avoided. Like, I have no qualms with having read three slave narratives this month. I got to see 3 different types of storytelling around slavery, and I loved all 3 stories. Yep. They all had me high like this because I thought they were all excellent. They were all really well done, even though they're totally different the way the stories have been recounted. It was all good, all worth it, So I highly recommend Yellow Wife, The Prophets, and
A More Perfect Union.
Like you
Thank
can't go
you.
wrong with Slave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
So
we
we had a question from the audience. Someone asked, what books are you reading, or what book
that's a
recommendations
good question.
do you
Yeah, we always
have?
ask this. We
Yeah,
always ask
and
this.
then also like what authors inspire you? So that
Oof.
whole
That whole thing. That's oh gosh, I hate these questions because then I'm always like, oh, who am I reading? What am I reading? I'm inspired by so many. I'm inspired by the big ones that came before, the Toni Morrisons, and I'm inspired by the people of now, the Zadie Smiths. But my last read was The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby Zare. Yeah, very good, really good. I've loved. I don't know. Let's see. I hate these questions. Then
I'm sorry, I didn't. It wasn't my question.
I should have asked you this when I sent you the email. I should have said, think about the books that you really like because we're going to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
Anybody British in particular that you like as British writers, British Black writers that you?
Oh yeah, it'd be great because then we can have options for November. For November.
We're gonna do this again in October. We do
October. Yeah.
So lit read along in honor of Black History Month in the UK in October. So it would be good to get some ideas.
Well, to get like a general overview of a whole bunch of really great Black authors, there's The New Daughters of Africa, which was done by Margaret Begston, who moderated the Booker this year. Exactly. So she's done Daughters of Africa and now New Daughters of Africa, and that would be a great place to sort of start going through. And there's all sorts of fabulous writers, Black women writers, that she highlights in that. As far as British writers, now I'm trying to think. I'm not thinking it each. I'm like, no, that's Nigerian. That's American. I'm trying to think who's British. I can't think of any British writers right now, which is completely wrong. There are so many.
No, we know Bernadine. We don't want. We know Bernadine.
Oh, of course. Like, Bernadine Evaristo.
Yeah, we're trying to think of people that we don't.
See, this is how brain dead I get. Yeah, I don't know. I'll send you a list later.
Okay, possibly an easier question. Okay. How did you come up with the title? How did you settle on the title of Union?
So, A More Perfect Union is, for all of us Americans, we probably know, it's in the first line of the Constitution, A More Perfect Union, right? Well, first of all, A More Perfect Union is meant to relate to Sarah and Henry. It's meant to be their union, which is supposed to be this, it's a more perfect union. But of course, most people are not going to think it's anything close to perfect. And for them, it's this great love story, so it's a more perfect union. Also, because it's the first line of the Constitution, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, they had put that in there because America is supposed to be this amazing country, this more perfect union. And actually, it's not. Actually,
it's not.
It's a more perfect
place that is very, very flawed. The original sin of America, slavery, is very much in this book. And also at the point of this book, America is about to tear itself apart. We're just before the Civil War, where we are anything but any kind of union at all. We're like fighting to not be a union. So that was the idea behind it. It was also, for me, A More Perfect Union was written by, so James Madison was the principal author of the Constitution. And I mentioned before that I based Jubilee Plantation on his plantation in Virginia. And so for me, it was also kind of this wink to that space of him there writing these words, this more perfect union, and being himself a kind of Matthew Johnson, the master, who thinks very highly of himself, thinks of himself as a very moral man, as a very good, God-fearing man, writing these great words, and yet his reality is, likely not, his reality of his slaves and the slave life is likely not far from what we see in the book.
But yep.
You know, his Thomas Jefferson was a very good friend of his, and you know, he would have known about that whole relationship with Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson, and so it's actually not very far from the founding fathers and the people who wrote that line, "A More Perfect Union." So that was the idea behind the title.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very clever.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's a perfect.
Yeah.
And
I really liked it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of "A More Perfect Union" titles out there.
Yeah.
But the publisher let me keep it because of it.
How did you come up with the cover? Did you have any
Oh,
space
yeah.
for the cover, or was it just, hey Tammy, this is the cover of your book, like it or not?
So the graphic artist read the book, and then she came up with several different ideas. And I did have an input, but yeah, I previously we had talked about this kind of juxtaposition, this black and white. So for me, it's the Sarah and Henry, that juxtaposition. It's not white, it's obviously teal, but that juxtaposition and the chain running through, because that's a very important moment in the book, and it's a very important part of the book, a theme of the book.
Yeah.
And then obviously the flowers, you look at it at first and you think, oh, that's very pretty flowers, but then you remember these are not flowers. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And for me, that was really important. I loved that because I think, well, some people, not me, probably not most of the people watching this, but if you've grown up around other people, you possibly heard this whole idea of slavery being bad, but maybe not as bad as some people think. This whole Gone with the Wind idea that, oh, we have these, you know, it was okay. This prettifying of slavery. And so for me, that was lovely to have these flowers that it looks so pretty. Like, oh, the plantations, they look so pretty. But actually, when you take a closer look,
I am legit shaking right now because that's what I've heard a lot.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like a place to have events.
Exactly.
People have photo shoots.
Full on weddings.
Yeah.
Full on weddings, Michael.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm in Georgia, so I know.
Yeah, exactly.
When you apply for citizenship and you go to take your pledge, it's at a plantation in Virginia. It's
Is it really?
It's
really?
I can believe it.
It's at Montpelier.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Wow.
It's at a plantation.
Oh.
And I have a friend who is from Malawi who took her oath maybe it's 10 years ago. I don't know, about 10 years ago. And when we got there, I was like, well, this is ironic. She's like, can you just enjoy the damn day? Just enjoy the day. It's like, this is an irony and a half.
Yeah. I did not. Thank you. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Wow, I didn't know that either. Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other questions?
I feel like I missed.
I know there was something else I wanted to ask, but I was not very good about writing everything down. So
that's all right.
I'll have to give you a minute to think about it. Let's see.
No, I don't see any more questions.
Yeah, I think that my question about the title covered that question.
It's so great to see everybody in the comment section.
Yeah,
thanks so much for coming to discuss with us.
Oh yeah, that's another good question. I would just like to give kudos. I don't know who made this decision, but this normally doesn't happen on books that it's like the author's 5th or 6th book. And for this to be your debut and to have this beautification on the hardcover, like I just want to give, I don't know who made this decision, but freaking kudos.
Exactly. They were so good to me. That's why I was like, how could I not? This is what happens when you have a little publisher who believes in you.
Pages are everything.
Aren't they fantastic?
Yeah. Like word to the wise people. Go to small publishers if they will give you the time of
show you the love.
I took this because I can't read with the dust jacket on. This would be a ripped piece of mess. So I took this off and I was like, oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God, the whole cover. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They really did a nice job with it. They
Yes.
absolutely did. They treated me so well. So
Yeah.
I cannot praise them enough. They've been really good to me. They really have. And the experience too, because you feel like, oh, this is a little publishing house, and you you can call them up with a question, and they're in touch with you, and they keep you kind of in the loop. And
That's
the
good.
book is coming out. The book's been picked up in the States by a larger publishing house.
Yay.
And it's like the difference of the cover. So the UK cover, I get all these suggestions, and we're talking, and I give my input beforehand, and she says, "Oh, I'll pass that on to the artist," and then we talk, and then all this back and so for the US, it's like, okay, so this is what we're thinking of the cover. That's it. It's not like it's different. Working with a large,
Usually pretty not so good.
And that is what annoys me about US publishing. Like, there are so many books between the changing of titles and then the changing of colors,
Oh yeah, I hate
covers. Like,
that annoys me.
why can't we just why can't we just honor the book as the author would like it to be released? Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that? US publishers.
It's usually pretty difficult, the US covers. I'm usually more in love with the UK covers, so I'm glad I live in France. So I always get the UK covers, no matter
covers,
what.
yeah.
Exactly.
So it's a toss-up. Sometimes the US covers, I do usually quite often like the UK covers, and for some books I think, oh, actually that US cover was quite cool. So it's always a toss-up. But but it's interesting how different they are, and it does feel like there's a
cultural difference to
some. That's what it is. That's what it is. And it's very rare when you get a book that has the same US and UK
cover.
Yeah.
The UK covers will have a Black person's face on the cover more frequently than the US cover, which I find that quite interesting. That the US is still squeamish about putting Black people on the front cover, whereas the UK, I mean, now they've got tons of covers now coming out with Black people, like even 400 Souls. The covers are like night and day, like totally two different covers.
Yeah,
I totally love the UK cover. I'm so glad I have the UK cover. It's just the best because it's got the little Black kid on the front with the American flag.
Yeah,
everything, that cover.
Yeah.
Whereas the American is just sort of like, first you have to actually really look at it to see what it is. It's like a painting of Black people walking into the distance, except you just see little Black heads.
Oh.
And it looks like
abstract.
Exactly.
Just drizzled down like this. So you don't really know what you're looking at until you really look at it. It just kind of looks like a painting. You don't know what it's a painting of. And I feel like, okay, I see you're trying to do the souls.
Yeah.
So got it, but it's not the best.
Poorly done.
No, it's just not the best. It's lazy. It's lazy cover design, So yeah. I'm just glad that you're doing well, that this book is doing well, and that I hope it does really well in the US.
Thank you. We'll see what they think. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people in this comment section are from the US. So that's something.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been plastering it all over IG.
Yeah.
Good. No, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Me and my little mini publisher, my small independent publishing house, we thank you. Small marketing budget, we thank you.
So I think we're going to end this tonight. It's been great talking with everybody. Thanks everybody in the comment section for coming and listening and discussing with us. Look forward to maybe another read along, maybe in the middle of summer. We'll figure that out later. I'll let you know. And thank you so much, Tammy, for taking your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much
thank
for
you guys.
joining
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to all of you. Thank you, Evan, and thank you for reading the book. I appreciate it.
And we'll be looking for your new one.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks. I will let you know. I'll let you know.
Let me know when it comes out. I want to know. I would love to read it and discuss it again with everybody.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all. Thanks
Bye.
for coming.